What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a great day as always, and welcome back to another episode of our JK Dana 30 build that we're swapping underneath my Jeep WJ. In the last episode, you guys watched me swap the housing into the Jeep. We pulled the WJ Dana 30 out of the Jeep and swapped in our JK housing. In the video before that, we installed truss, gussets, sleeves. We did all kinds of stuff to this housing. And if you guys want to watch those two episodes, I will link them down below for you to check out. But today we're doing ball joints. Now, whether you're replacing old worn out ball joints, upgrading for bigger tires, or building your front axle, this is one of those upgrades that's definitely worth doing the right way. Now, I did a lot of research on what ball joints I wanted to run on this axle. Since we are going to be doing 37s on it, I wanted some pretty strong ball joints, and we went with the Apex Chassis HD ball joints. Pretty much everything on these ball joints has been designed to be the strongest they possibly can be, all the way down to the rubber boots, which you don't want those ripping either. And then you also get this offset Zerk fitting here, which will be really nice to grease the bottom joint when it's installed in the vehicle. So we're out at the Jeep, and we're going to go ahead and get these things tossed in. We're also going to toss on the knuckles in this video. We'll toss in axle shafts and all of that type of stuff. So here we got an upper and a lower ball joint. So the upper is just going to get pressed in like this. The lower is going to be pressed in the opposite direction. The upper, we're going to have to use a little trick since I don't have the right adapter for it. However, the bottom, we'll be able to use this Harbor Freight ball joint press that we picked up. If you don't have one of these, definitely worth it if you're working on a Jeep a decent bit. This thing is like 70 bucks, and it's nice to have for ball joints, U-joints, and drive shafts, all those types of things. Then once we go ahead and toss those on, we got a new set of knuckles from Detroit Axle. These are just the stock JK knuckles. We're going to have to drill them out. We got new hub bolts because I lost the old ones. And then we'll toss on the axle shafts. We have the ABS sensors as well in these axle shafts, so we'll go ahead and toss those on, the wheel hubs, all that kind of stuff. But like I was saying, so for the upper one, technically you need like an offset cup. I don't have that, so we went ahead and removed the Zerk fitting, and we tossed this on there, and then I just hit it with a hammer until it goes in. It takes quite a few hits, but it ends up going in. I don't have the correct adapter. Now we'll move on to the bottom. The bottom, we do have the correct adapters for it with this kit. We want to make sure that that Zerk fitting is lined up somewhere we can access it when the vehicle is all put together. We also want to make sure that the hole that cotter pin goes through is lined up correctly to where we can slide that in without interfering with the knuckle. So I'm going to go ahead and line this thing up, and then we'll press it in. I'm going to make sure that both of those things that we just went over are lined up correctly and get this thing tossed into the axle. And just like that, we're fully seated. We got this all installed. The bottom one's super easy. The top one, if you don't have that adapter cup, like I said, just hit it with a hammer and it goes in. Just make sure you don't hit the ball joint itself because you can damage it. But we got this all installed, and we should be good to install our knuckles on this side now. This might be the first time this axle has ever had 4 brand new bolts installed in it. So the driver's side one is the one where you can only attach one steering link to. You attach the tie rod to this side. But we're going to go ahead and toss this on with steering link mount facing forward. That way we know it's all set up correctly. We'll toss these castle nuts onto our ball joints, and then we're going to go ahead and torque them down. Now, when you torque these down, there is a specific way you do it. Realistically, I don't know how much it matters, but this is the way that it always says to do it. So we're going to go ahead and follow the directions. We're going to go ahead and tighten everything down by hand, and then we're going to come back through with a torque wrench. So we're going to go ahead and tighten the bottom one to 35 foot-pounds first. Then we'll move to the top. We'll do 70 foot-pounds, and then go to the bottom and do that one to 70 foot-pounds. So like I said, I don't really know how much this matters, but it's what the directions say, so we're going to follow them on the setup. So 35 foot-pounds on the bottom, and then we'll go ahead and set our torque wrench to 70 foot-pounds for the upper ball joint, and then we'll go ahead and tighten this one down as well. And now back to the lower. Now that we're at 70 as well, we'll go ahead and torque that all the way down. Now with all that torqued down, we're going to go ahead and install our cotter pins. So we're going to just toss one in the bottom. If your cotter pin can't go through, you're just going to tighten that nut a little bit further until you can slide it through easily. We're going to do that to the top and the bottom. However, it does look like I have lost one of my cotter pins, but don't worry. I do this pretty much every time I use these things. So I do have some spare ones in the garage. These little kits are so worth having. If you don't have one already, they're like 10 bucks and you pretty much get all the sizes you'll ever need. And this has saved me countless times when doing projects like this. So I'll go ahead and toss a new one in. I'll get the right size here, and we'll toss this in, and we'll be good to go. Now with the driver's side fully complete, we do still need to install axle shafts, but we'll do that after we install ball joints and knuckles on the passenger side. Now I'm not also going to bore you with the exact same thing on this side, so I went ahead and installed our ball joints upper and lower, and we'll go ahead and get the knuckle tossed on. So this will be the one with the 2 steering link connection points. Toss them on, and we'll get this thing torqued up just like the other side. With a little bit of editing magic, we got this side all complete. So we got ball joints on both sides, we got knuckles on both sides, brand new ones. So we're gonna go ahead and install the axle shafts and the new hubs. They're actually the used ones out of the Jeep to begin with. They're still good, so there's no reason to replace them. But they quite literally just slide in. If you guys haven't done this before, it's super easy. If you have, you know how easy it is. They slide in. I do have to go check my other axle to see where this sensor wire is supposed to come out of. I think it's like the front or back, but the top side. But I'll go ahead and double check. Okay, so it was facing forward on the axle, and then we got a new hub bolt. So we're gonna go ahead and thread a couple of these in, just that way we know that this hub is lined up completely. and then we'll go ahead and tighten these down, torque them down, get them all set up and good to go. We'll go ahead and tighten them all down by hand first. There's only 3 of them. The upper one's the only one that's kind of annoying sometimes, depending on which angle you get this at and what sockets you have. But we're going to go ahead and tighten them all down by hand, and then I'll come back through and hit them with a torque wrench and get them all torqued down properly. Now with the new hub and axle shaft all installed into this axle, it still spins. We're all good to go here. I do wish I removed that inner plastic axle seal protector or whatever that thing is. It doesn't work really. But we got our wire here. I believe we're going to have to adapt this to the WJ setup, and Iron Rock Offroad sells like the adapter kit there. We'll just have to snip the wires and kind of solder it all together. Should be pretty easy, and then it should work with the JK sensor that's in this axle with the WJ wiring setup. I haven't looked too much into that, but it seems pretty straightforward, and really it's only 2 wires, so I'm sure we can figure that out on our own. If nobody makes a kit for it, then we have to. Now we're going to go ahead and toss in the long side or the passenger side axle shaft. It's the same exact steps as the other side, so I'm not going to sit here and bore you with it. You slide it in, you torque down the bolts, and you're pretty much good to go. And there we go. So we went ahead and tossed this side in as well. Very easy to do, the exact same steps. Now for the steering, we're going to have to drill out these knuckles. So this is pretty much where we're going to stop until my drill bit arrives. I also don't have brakes for these axles yet, so we're going to need to pick those up. I do have to get JK brakes for this instead of the WJ ones, so we'll go ahead and order a set of those. I'm just going to get the stock ones. We're not doing drilled or slotted or anything like that. I will, however, probably install the steering before we do brakes because I got to figure out exactly what brake kit I want to go with. And we do already have the steering. So I will have to drill out these knuckles because the steering we got is a lot bigger than any factory steering on these axles. We got a 2.5 ton aluminum steering setup from Apex Chassis. It's a super beefy setup. It's actually pretty identical to the one size-wise that is on my Wrangler. So it's going to be a pretty big setup for this. I also really think the silver is going to match the hood vents and the light pods and just everything tied together really well. I think we're going to do a detail fabric front bumper on this, and I'm thinking we paint matched it to this blue color. I was thinking silver, but I think that'll be too much, so let me know in the comments what you think. And then lastly, there's a little bracket that I did not order that I completely forgot about to hold these cables up, and the Wrangler doesn't have one either, so I think we might go ahead and skip it. The Wrangler's is zip tied up. It doesn't hit the axle shaft at all, and it's kind of attached to the knuckle. And really, it's been running zip ties for years and years now since I put these axles under it and has had no issues. So I'll probably just do the same method on this, and I think it'll work perfectly fine. I don't really know what those brackets will be called. I'm sure we can get them if we want to, but I think we're going to take everything back apart to put them on. So we're going zip ties on this setup. But that pretty much wraps up this episode. I'm super pleased with the progress we've been making on this axle. This video and the last video were filmed in the same day, so we've been making a ton of progress on this setup. But with that being said, I'm really pleased with it. It's really cool to see this coming together underneath the Jeep. The front is pretty much nearing the end. We got the steering obviously and a little bit left. Then we'll be able to move on to that back Dana 44. Now I'm hoping to have this Jeep at a ton of events next year. This will probably be the Jeep that we take to all of our events and trail rides and things like that along the way, and hope to wheel with some of you guys as well. As always, thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I will see you guys in the next one.